Democrats are running on an economy that's roaring back, that is fighting inflation, that is helping the Ukrainians. Democrats will run on what they've delivered. Republicans are going to run on the fumes of 2020.
That was former DNC Chair Donna Brazille claiming the Democrats are actually delivering a roaring economy. But do you remember when the White House wanted you to celebrate a 16-cent savings on your 4th of July barbecue? Well, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen now warns 10 million more people may be headed for poverty this year. Who knew it could get that bad that quickly? High poverty numbers should give Republicans plenty to run on in the midterms. Joining us now with reaction is tonight's company, host of The Grace Curley Show, Grace Curley, and host of the Rob Smith is Problematic podcast, Rob Smith. Speaking of problematic, Grace, I'm going to start with you. Democrats are aligned on the message that the economy is booming, but polling shows the American people don't feel that way at all. Will Democrats shift their narrative or just keep doubling down on something that doesn't really match reality?
Well, I think they'll probably double down on this. I think it's a really bad idea. People are not in the mood for a blame game, especially when you consider the fact that we were told over and over again that Trump did everything wrong and they had all of the answers. And these are the results of all of their bright ideas. And they always say, like, the first thing to do when you have a problem is admit you have a problem. And there's this refusal to acknowledge reality and trying to shift it to Republicans. I don't think anyone's going to buy that. And the longer Democrats ignore the pain the people are feeling in their wallets, at the pump, at the grocery store, the more pain they're going to feel come November at the midterms.
You know, Rob, the interesting thing is when I think about it, Democrats, they love to tout themselves as the people who care about the poor, and they're the ones who help people who are below the poverty line. But now they're actually the one with their policies pushing people under the poverty line. We heard what Janet Yellen said, that so many more millions of Americans are going to be below the poverty line because of their policies. She just left out their policies part.
Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of part and parcel for the left. Like, I can't really bring myself to get too mad at what Donna Brazille is saying, because Donna Brazille does her job, which is to parrot Democrat talking points. And it seems as if right now they are just testing talking point after talking point to see which ones stick. Remember Putin's price hike, that's not sticking. Remember when they tried to blame the increasing grocery prices and the meat prices and things like that on these greedy meat conglomerates, like that never stuck. So now what we're left with is, oh no, the economy is great, and this is what Democrats are going to be running on. I mean, look, it comes to a point right now where people just cannot deny what they are seeing in front of their faces. So people see the prices at the gas pump. People see the insanely high prices of groceries right now. That's something that I'm feeling in my own life right now. So the thing about it is that they can't just keep on going with these talking points. It is not going to work. Now, somebody like Donna Brazille and people like her are going to keep on parroting those talking points because that is their job. That is what they do. But the American public is just not falling for this stuff. And I do believe that the public is going to shift very much to the right come November.
Well, even with the media trying to cover for Joe Biden, the people aren't buying this. Not a chance. Rob, look, to both of you, Biden has laid out a new economic plan, and you'd think he'd focus on devastating inflation, but true to an epic, woke, tone deafness, he actually mentions the word gender, equality, and emissions more than inflation. So are Biden's priorities just completely out of step with the American people? I mean, what's in store coming up in 2022?
I'll say for one thing, I think that it's really the Biden administration in a nutshell. It's let's check off the woke talking points. Let's check off things that make the far left radical progressives happy. And I'll tell you this, I don't care what out of the 250 or however many genders there are now, I don't care what you identify with, everyone identifies with the fact that inflation is a real thing. And so the more that they try to ignore the real problems here, and the more they try to appease this far left squad group, I think the further away from the average American voter they're drifting. And I totally agree with Rob, this whole idea about meat conglomerates, and like we hear hear a new thing every day, and there's never any point where they say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to reverse course. We're going to try something new. That's always off the table. It's always pointing the finger at somebody else.
Right. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Well, to answer Grace's question about how many genders there are, I'm a non-binary MB, and my pronouns are Z and Zer. No, seriously. So what's going on right now with all of this talk about gender and inequality and all of these woke leftist talking points, it is all a distraction. What the Biden administration and their lackeys in the media have pretty much figured out is that if they can distract people from what they are seeing with their own two eyes with these buzzwords, then they'll get a kind of buzz from the progressive left, or they'll get the progressive leftists excited. I really do not think it's going to work. As you see right now, the influence of the far left progressives is really waning. And right now you have a lot of old school Democrats that are saying, guys, we need to right this ship. We need to bring it back to the meat and potato issues that they have been ignoring. So this is just another failed policy or another failed way that the Biden administration is trying to distract people from the pain of what is really going on right now. And I really don't think that it can be overstated what a disaster we're heading into right now. And this is going to really, really negatively affect working class people. These are the same people Dems claim to be fighting for.
Yeah, it's really sad because Americans are the ones who are hurting the worst through all these terrible policies, which I think Biden isn't planning on really changing anytime. He said he'd be the most progressive president, and we're seeing that to be true. Grace Curley, Rob Smith, thanks for being here.
Thanks.